This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard the Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary here on this Thursday, December 26th, the day after Christmas. Hope Santa Claus came to see you. And you didn't get a lump of coal, but even if you did, he got you a good present here because you're listening to Coyle and Leary. Thanks a lot for joining us. Todd Leary, how are you?
I am terrific this morning, brother. How are you?
Great. Did Santa Claus come to see you?
He came to see the kids, which is the important part. So,
yeah,
Santa has always been extra good to me. So, I'm a Christmas fan.
Absolutely. I got a nice little present from my daughter, a little JBL speaker, Bluetooth speaker.
Oh, nice.
So look forward to using that for golfing or whatever it may be.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
Bring that with us to Jacksonville.
Absolutely. Speaking of Jacksonville, it's bowl season, everybody. Man, nothing on yesterday. I mean, there was NBA games on, but there were no football games.
Nothing on. Same as saying nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So, because I did not see a single dribble of an NBA game.
No, I can remember as a kid, it used to be a big thing. Like I always enjoyed watching, Larry Bird and Jordan and those guys would always be on. And I'm telling you, I literally did not. Just like you, I did not watch 1 second of it. I could care less.
But what is coming is the bowl season. Let's see who plays today. Louisiana Tech and Miami of Florida. Miami is a 5.5-point favorite. Also, Pittsburgh against Eastern Michigan. I don't know what bowl game. It's not saying what bowls they are. That's it. That's it for today.
The Independence Bowl was the first one you said, and the Quick Lane Bowl is the Pitt game.
Oh, that's normally a Big Ten team. But the Big Ten did not have enough teams to fill those bowls because they got sucked off at the top.
Really?
Over to bigger bowls. There's like the what do they call the January 1 group of
January
6
Bowl. January 6 Bowl.
There was just a ton of Big Ten teams that filled those spots, with Penn State going to the Cotton Bowl. So it kind of created a vacuum at the bottom. And
well, nobody wanted to go to that Quick Lane Bowl anyway.
It's terrible. Oh, gosh,
Detroit.
No. It's awful. It's like one of the worst. It might be the worst Big Ten bowl tie-in game that there is. The only other option would be the one out in California, only because it's so far away. But it's in California, so you can't make that one the worst.
Hard to be mad about that.
That's good. And then you got, in order, I'd say the next up would be the Pinstripe Bowl, which to me is kind of cool. If you can't go to like a Gator Bowl, go to Yankee Stadium just because of the unique experience.
It'd probably be cool to play in it like once.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I haven't been to it. I didn't get to go
right.
in 15 when Indiana went there. I'd like to go to it once, but I much prefer going to, say, the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida.
Right. Yeah,
where it's warm.
Sure.
Where it is warm, and which we will be, and Indiana will be. 1 week from today, man. 1 week. We are 1 week away from the bowl game. I can't believe football is – I remember going out to watch practice warm when it was – well, it's not too bad right now, but it was really warm at the start of camp, and I can't believe we're here. We're at the end of the season, man.
Yeah, no, it's we're getting some unseasonably nice weather right now. Christmas was warmer than Thanksgiving this year, but I'm more excited, I think, for for ourselves, but I'm more excited for the kids and the coaches, and the opportunity that this presents itself. Now, like we've said numerous times, I mean, they've got to capitalize on it. I mean, they got to make this. I hate to be this way because I'm a win or lose type person, but they don't really even have to win. They've got to go out and put a good product out on the field.
No, they need to win.
It would be great. It would be much better if they did win, for sure. But
to me, it's a disappointing season if they don't, because they have an opportunity to do something that this program has done 2 times in the entire history of itself and win 9 games. And I'll be honest with you, I've said it already. They should be at 10 right now. They should have won 10, and they could be going for 11, which would be amazing. But anyway,
woulda, coulda, shoulda all day long.
Absolutely. But I think because they didn't beat anybody during the season, that this would be the way to cap it off. I mean, you beat an SEC team in a bowl game or something else they haven't done since 1991 when they beat Baylor in the Copper Bowl. I think you got to finish it off, or it's a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, you are beyond correct in that, yes, it would be much, 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 much better if they won. But, you're also, if they put a good product out on the field from a recruiting perspective, I mean, this season is over from the standpoint of, what can they accomplish as a team? I mean, they got into the Gator Bowl and now they could win it. Yes, that would be a big deal. But there's just so many things that positively can happen for them, even if they don't win. As long as they put a good product out on the field and potential recruits, or kids who are young kids that are 10, 11, 12 years old, since it's the only football game that's going to be on TV, their dad's watching it. If they can see something they like they can see a potential receiver later down the road sees the Indiana team throwing the ball over the field or moving it up and down the field and having fun, and there can be some huge positives that can come out.
Oh, absolutely. I agree that there is. I mean, there already is. That's there now because the fact that they're there and they get to go down and practice in Florida and invite any Florida recruits that are there. They can invite them out to practice. Hey, come on out, watch this, man. We're down here prepping for the bowl game. So that's already a huge gain, especially for Tom Allen, who's got such good connections there in Florida and has done so well. This is just another opportunity for him to extend that reach. There's great things that are going to come from it. No doubt. Absolutely. And you can't take that away, and no matter win or lose. But I just think for this to be a complete deal, you got to finish it out, man. You got to win this game, especially when you look back and it's real. They didn't beat anybody this year that they weren't supposed to beat.
Right.
And actually, they didn't beat Michigan State, which they should have beaten. As we look back, the only time that should have happened was Penn State. They actually should have beaten Penn State, who was someone they weren't supposed to, and they couldn't get it done, and that's okay. But that's a game that's Illinois did that. They beat Wisconsin. Some of these other teams did that, and it made just a big old stamp on the season. Not knocking it. It's been a great year, and it's good. And there's nothing you can take away because they're in a Florida bowl game. There's so many positives, so many firsts, and you can't take that away. I just think that to really say that it was a complete success, you just gotta win this game, and it's a game that they're very capable of winning. If you look at the spread right now. Last I looked, it was 1.5 in favor of Tennessee, so that's basically just a toss up.
Yeah, wouldn't you say the real difference, the only difference between Minnesota's season and Indiana's season would have been like that Penn State victory would have been that one signature big win? I mean, did they?
Yeah, because I don't think they beat anybody else.
I mean, they beat Northwestern, Maryland. We beat Rutgers, Nebraska, Illinois, Purdue. Yeah, I mean, the only real difference between their season, they strung a bunch of wins in a row at the beginning of the year.
And see, that helped them too. They had that easy schedule. They didn't play Ohio State in the third game of the season.
Yeah,
and it makes a huge difference. They get Penn State at the end of the year at home on top of it. So, but they did it, and so you can't take it away from them because they're very similar. That's a very good team to pull out because they're and we'll view Minnesota versus Indiana. It's not close, but are they that different of teams? No, I don't think they are. Minnesota's
it's really
Minnesota's got better receivers.
It's really the same. we got delay going where I'm talking over the top of you. Sorry, but Minnesota's team and Minnesota's season and Indiana's season are so similar. I mean, they're beyond similar. It's just that one victory, and you've got. I still saw on a bull show the other day. There was still people talking about. Minnesota was really close to one win away from being in that conversation of the playoffs. and that's just the difference between had Indiana won that Michigan State game and then the Penn State game, it would be ridiculous to be thinking about what kind of bowl they'd be talking about Indiana in right now, because
they were one game away from playing in the Big Ten championship.
Right? Yeah, it's crazy.
Now what they lost to Iowa, didn't they?
Minnesota, yes.
Yeah, so they lost to Iowa and they lost to Wisconsin. So they they didn't beat anybody other than they did beat Penn State.
They beat Penn State, and
which is a team that Indiana should have beaten on the road, no less.
Right.
That would have been for Indiana. That win would have been of epic proportions.
Yeah, it would have.
It would have been one of the biggest wins in the history of that program because Penn State was a top 10 team. It would have been bigger than when Indiana beat Michigan and Ohio State back in the day, although that was gigantic. It may not be bigger because they hadn't done it then, but it would have been a win of epic proportions, especially when you're going out with your quote-unquote backup quarterback. But oh well, it's a great season, going to be a great season no matter what, like you said, and but hopefully they can cap it out with a win. I mean, they don't have that win over Penn State. So it would just further cement what the season has meant, but would also further the recruits. Then you're like, oh, okay, you're not only here, you win.
Right. Well, would you say, in your opinion, wouldn't you say that based on the season, and yes, they could have or probably should have won Michigan State. They could have probably won Penn State game, but they didn't. But based on what they have done and where the record really is, wouldn't you say they are in absolute best case scenario bowl? Like that, a lot of times
could not have done better.
You'll see teams that you think, maybe here or there, maybe they deserved, maybe because they didn't think their fan base would travel, or for whatever reason the committee that bowl committee just didn't want that team, or whatever it might be, and they could have probably got a little better bowl, but they didn't. That's not the case for Indiana. I mean,
Indiana could have only gotten a better bowl had they beaten Penn State.
Right, but given the results right now,
they're lucky to be in the Gator Bowl because
this is the top of the line. Right.
The only reason they got into the Gator Bowl is because Oregon knocked off Utah.
Right, and that gives you exactly what you said a minute ago. That gives them the fire to want to go out there and prove that they do deserve to be there.
Absolutely.
There's probably some people that are thinking, this may be a little bit of a lay, just because they don't know anything about Indiana. If you're not from Indiana, or listen to Indiana football stuff a lot, I mean, you don't know, you don't really respect Indiana football. You think, they had a great year.
Doesn't.
Well, surely they don't.
No, and I think that they chose the Gator Bowl after they saw who the opponent was going to be.
That's very likely
because they changed their mind. Because they changed their mind on that day. That Sunday of bowl selection, they changed their mind and said, "Oh no, we want to go to the Gator Bowl."
That could have just as easily been. Yes, it could have been because they saw their opponent. It also could have been so that they could have made sure that Kentucky couldn't go there.
Yeah, good point. Because they sure took care of
everybody. It's not just Indiana fans that don't like.
That's
Kentucky.
Another reason to beat
everybody.
Tennessee's butts. They cost us having an Indiana Kentucky. Can you imagine Indiana Kentucky in a bowl game in Florida?
I'd rather play Tennessee.
A lot of people are like that, but I'm just saying it would have been a gigantic fan draw. It just would have. There's just that Kentucky thing going, and you
given the fact that we're going to be there, and I don't like to fight. I am much happier that Tennessee people are going to be there than Kentucky people.
You think they don't have a bunch of Hill Jacks down there too?
It's not the same though. I don't have a hatred towards them.
Yeah, I hear you. It's a big difference. It is a big difference.
Kentucky fans. I shouldn't say Kentucky people because there's a lot of great Kentucky people. Kentucky fans have a different level of stupidity than the average person. They really do. I mean, they go above and beyond trying to be obnoxious about how ridiculous their team is.
Yeah, I think.
And I try to do a good job of keeping my mouth shut. I'm a complete failure when it comes to that.
All right, we got a text into the show. We're going to take a break here. Tim texted up. By the way, hit us up on the text line 812-269-6367. 812-269-6367. Wish I could have gotten that one to make a word. But anyway, hit us up on the text line. He asks us if we're going to Jacksonville. Hell yes. We will be in Jacksonville. We're gonna have we're gonna try to set up a watch party or two. We're gonna do some stuff. We're gonna do our shows down there during the day. Then of course we're probably gonna add some special shows similar to the after the game of Todd Leary type shows. So we got all kinds of stuff that we're working on doing that. So yes, absolutely, we will be there. Hey, we got more coming up here as well on Indiana Sports Beat. You're listening to Coyle and Leary here on this post-Christmas celebration. Back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moyer.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
This segment is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry. Oh, yeah, welcome back. You listen to Coyle and Leary here on this post-Christmas celebration, Thursday, December 26th. Hope you had a good week. Hope you had a great Christmas. Hope Santa Claus came to see you, brought you what you wanted, or something thereabouts. How was your Christmas, Jake? Or can they hear us? Or can they hear you? Never mind. Shut up. They can't hear you. Oh, man. What happened to Well, they never mind. I forget the email. I can't ask you a question because they can't hear you.
You can ask me questions. I got all kinds of good answers for you.
Yeah, not as interesting. Just kidding. The announcers on the Gator Bowl for Indiana, Tennessee, Dave O'Brien, Tim Hasselback, and Katie George. Katie George, of course, former Louisville volleyball player who also was in Miss America, I think. great volleyball player, but has been doing some TV work for a while. She just came back from the Milwaukee Bucks, I think. I think she worked for the Bucks last year, but now working for the ACC network. Have to maybe see about getting her on. Send her a text. But I can't believe there's only 2 bowl games today.
I was just looking at the same thing. I was trying to see if I was
they're
missing
teasing
something.
us. It's not. It's like that's it. I'm like, really? But it's Thursday, so I guess they're really milking this thing out, man. I mean, they're going to go because it did not used to be a week and 2 weeks worth of bowl games. Now it is.
It used to all be like the
Boom,
31st
boom, boom.
and the 1st, right?
Yeah, it was it. It was like wham.
Right.
Now we're really stretching it out, but I'm like, okay, but I'm ready for a good one.
Which is great. I love the fact that you get to see many more of them. They're not all on at the same time, but I mean, it's a little crazy. I mean, you could easily squeeze 4 games into today. I mean, there's 5 tomorrow and Saturday. Saturday is funny. There's only 4 Saturday because obviously the 2 big ones. But yeah,
what do we got tomorrow?
Tomorrow you got North Carolina and Temple in the Military Bowl to start it out. Then Michigan State got an IU or a Big Ten team in the Pinstripe Bowl with Wake Forest. 5:45 or actually 6:45 your time. Oklahoma State and Texas A&M. Was that the Texas Bowl? Texas Bowl.
Ooh, there we go. Now we're talking USC and Iowa.
Yep. Holiday
Is that
Bowl.
the Holiday Bowl?
Yep.
Number 22 USC and number 16 Iowa.
I mean, that's kind of I haven't really watched USC play, but that's kind of a battle of 2 different style schools, at least, because Iowa is such a slow it down, try to win 17.
Grind it out.
Yeah, try to win 17-10. USC just seems to always be a team trying to get up and down the field a lot faster.
Air Force, Washington State. I always just enjoy listening to Mike Leach talk. Swear it's like what's he going to say today? Is he going to talk about possums or raccoons?
It's the same as listening to Bill Walton, and actually it's not because he's actually funny. Mike Leach actually is really entertaining.
Do you know he never played football?
Really?
Yep. I believe he was an attorney. I believe. It's weird. I mean, there's very few instances where a guy did not play the sport that gets to that level,
right?
And I can't really think of any others right now, but I'll tell you one that really has always stood out to me was Lawrence Fink, who was a manager.
Lawrence Frank
was a manager at Indiana under Bob Knight, but went on to become an NBA coach, head coach. I mean, that's how many times you see that happen.
Now he's general manager.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean,
who's the GM for?
Sacramento.
Man, you need to get him on, man.
We could get him on. You can't understand him though because he's from New Jersey and he just likes speaking a foreign language. You can't understand anything he says. You almost have to be in person so you can read his lips.
Oh, that would be worth the entertainment.
He is he is one of those people. He and Calvert. He had kind of buddied up to Calvert when we were in school, and
now, so was he a manager during your time?
Yeah, same year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he was just like he was that guy when we would go to. He was part of a fraternity. I can't remember what fraternity it was, but we would go to fraternity parties, and I guess you would think maybe just as basketball players, like you could get in wherever you wanted to. I'm being arrogant about saying that, but that's kind of what we thought anyway, and it was for the most part it was true. But L. Frank would always be the guy because he wanted to go to the parties too. He would always be the guy that kind of led us into all the parties.
Yeah.
And at first we were like, man,
he was the gatekeeper.
This dude is awesome. He gets us in anywhere we want. And then we were like, hey, wait a minute.
We can get in anywhere anyway.
This little guy's just trying to get in himself. But it was fun. He is one of the best. And when you hear him, he hasn't forgotten where he's from, and he knows how big Indiana was to him and Coach Knight and all of his learning experiences. But here's the thing. It's a good, that's a funny topic that you bring up about Mike Leach because, L. Frank knew, we always called him L. Frank. L. Frank knew from, the time he went to IU and wanted to become a manager that he wanted to be involved in coaching and he wanted to be involved in NBA sports and things like that. And so he was like a sponge. I mean, that's literally what he did. anything that was going on, he was always there, like almost even taking notes, just watching. I'd love to see his notebook from back in school. But he's known what he's wanted to do for a long, long time, and he did all the crappy little jobs you have to do to get there. And the dude is just, I mean, he's just a good fun person to be around, and
talk about the crappy jobs that the basketball managers had to do.
The managers had the absolute worst jobs in the history of IU. I mean, the players, we acted like we had it bad because we had to practice hard all the time and stuff like that. The managers had it the worst. I mean, I complain about how many hours we had to work out and, being on the floor and watching film and all these things. Well, the managers are the ones that put those films together. I'm sure in today's world, that's much easier than it was back then. Because back then, there would literally, for taping a basketball game, there would be like 7 VCR recorders set up, all taping the game at the same time, so that when it was done, they could take those tapes out and one guy could go work on it doing offensive possessions, and one guy could go do defensive possessions, and one guy could go do blockouts. And it was just, I mean, as soon as the game was over, and they would be in there taping. So during my redshirt season, I got to see a lot of this stuff. But so like when Indiana would go play on the road, and they go to Iowa, for example. Well, back in Assembly Hall, as a redshirt, if it's not a weekend game, you don't travel. So back in Assembly Hall, I would be there with the managers, and they are there, and they're there taping every other game across the country that's on ESPN. Or any channel that's on. And the reason they're taping it is in case Indiana might play one of those teams in the NCAA tournament or in something else. So the amount of videotapes they would go through is just astronomical and incredible. But their job, and they were always there. So, those late, they hated the Pac. That's why it's one more reason why I've always hated the Pac-12. Pac-10 back then, because you'd have to stay there. Those guys would have to stay there and tape those games. And it's not like today where you can just hit, record on the DVR thing and everybody goes home. I mean, they literally have to sit there, hit play, hit record as the thing's going through recording. And when a timeout would happen, they would have to hit stop. And then they would have to hit go again. It's just what a nightmare. But the managers had it the absolute worst. Like all those guys deserve way more than the players do.
You know how many basketball games there are today, college basketball games?
0.
I do know. I can't believe they did it to us 2 days in a row, man.
It is it's not easy.
Move on to Saturday. Duke taking on Brown. I'm trying to see Purdue's taking on Central Michigan. Wisconsin, Tennessee. Well, not really. Tennessee ought to kill them. That's at Tennessee. Wisconsin currently at 6-5, one game over 500. Thank goodness for that win over Indiana.
That's an interesting timing for that game, isn't it? It's a little.
Yeah, it's like Indiana taking on Arkansas, which happened Sunday, by the way. Sure. And speaking of the devil, where are we going to be after the game?
Yeah, we're going to have to discuss that because it will not be from Yogi's this week.
Only because Yogi's is having their company Christmas party at the same exact time, unfortunately, which they still should have just had us do it from there. To be honest,
yeah, we're good. It'll be a fun little change.
I think it's because they're physically not open.
They are definitely physically not open. All their restaurants are all meeting at one location.
Yeah, and I don't think it is at Yogi's, so that's why it is literally closed. So we're going to have to figure out another spot.
It won't be difficult.
Oh, heck no. We can do it in the parking lot if we have to.
Kentucky-Louisville game is this Saturday?
Oh, yeah.
Did you say that? That'll be a good
one. I did not.
That is
what time is that game?
3:45. I always keep saying Central Time. 3:45 Eastern.
Of course, also this weekend, the semifinals of the National Championship college playoffs are Saturday as well, aren't they?
Yeah, same time. Same time as that game. How does that happen?
See, now, look at all this blank time we got.
Who plans this stuff?
All this blank time with nothing going on. Not a single game yesterday. Not a game today. And then you want to have that game in the middle of the National College Football Playoffs. Come on, man.
Come on, man. That does not make any sense. That's just that one.
Now, that's a game.
The same time as Oklahoma and LSU.
Louisville's the best team, no doubt. But that doesn't mean anything. They're playing in Rupp Arena, so you're on the road, and we've seen what road games do to people this year. It is not easy to win on the road. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are. But Louisville is the better team. Doesn't mean they're going to win that game. I mean, if Kentucky plays better, that's a young team.
Kentucky has the ability to play decent. I mean, that Sestina guy, the bigger guy they've got, when he's been back, he's had some injuries early in the season, but with him back, being able to make shots, they're a completely different team. If he's not able to knock those shots down, I mean, I'm not kidding. They're terrible. Like from the outside. I mean, shooting from the outside, they are a very, very poor shooting team. If you take that guy out of the lineup,
Tim's got a great idea. After the game at Bubba's,
that's a first. Although that is a great idea, I like it, Tim. I like that one, Tim. I like me some Bubba's. I'm in. You want to do that one? I'm in.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that. Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville's 11-1. But I'm trying to. Who have they beaten?
Louisville.
Yeah, they beat Michigan at home.
Yeah, and that was a weird game because they made Michigan just look terrible.
Yeah, and that was right. And Michigan was coming off of some games where they looked really good.
They went from unranked to 4th in the country. But Louisville, I mean, they beat Miami of Florida. That's a decent win. That team's not bad. They beat Indiana State, Western Kentucky. They lost to Texas Tech.
Well, that was in New York. Yeah, that's their only loss.
Wasn't that the game? Wasn't that the Texas Tech game where they didn't have their leading scorer?
Texas Tech?
Yeah.
Maybe so.
I'm pretty sure it was. It was.
Yeah, they haven't really – I mean, like you said, Michigan, that's a good win, but I'm trying to look over, but –
I mean, they don't – I mean, that Miami of Florida, I mean, that team's kind of Jekyll and Hyde. They've been beat by a lot of teams, but they've played a crazy good schedule. But they're actually not bad. I mean, I've watched them play a few times. They got a little tiny point guard that is just lightning fast.
Man, it would be amazing to see Kentucky lose a second game at home and we're not even out of December yet.
Yeah, it would. Louisville's got Kentucky and then Florida State back to back.
That's right. They've lost 2 games in a row, man. This would be a 3-game losing streak after losing to Utah, then losing to Ohio State. And where were they? Where was that?
Vegas,
yeah, Las Vegas. This could be a 3-game. Oh, my goodness. Do you think the Kentucky fans won't fall apart? 3-game losing streak? And especially if it's Louisville, who does it to them at home?
I mean, I guess it's easy to go through anybody's schedule and say this, especially you could do it for Indiana as well.
Oh, absolutely.
You take out the Michigan State win that Kentucky had to start the year.
Which does not look that good.
It doesn't. But it's still, I mean, it's probably as good as Indiana's Florida State win. I mean,
absolutely.
It's that good. So if you take Indiana's Florida State win away, you can say they really haven't beat anybody crazy good either. But Kentucky's resume is just ridiculously terrible if you take that win away. I mean, they have played no one. I mean, just awful. But that's just the way the schedule aligns itself out. I mean, they've got to go to Georgia, next week in 2 weeks. I mean, their schedule, they could be a team. I mean, I'm going to go right out and say this right here. If they don't improve and get quite a bit better, they have a decent chance of missing the tournament.
Who, Kentucky?
Yeah.
Oh, man, they won't leave them out. They'd have to have a losing record for the NCAA to leave them out.
No, they wouldn't. They won't have any signature wins. Their only signature wins.
I don't think the Big Ten. I don't think the SEC is that difficult this year. Tennessee is okay, but they're not like they were last year. Auburn
will beat the pants off of Kentucky.
Have you watched them play? I have not.
Yes, I have watched them play, and they're that good. They'll beat the pants off of Kentucky. They're so guard heavy, and they go. Kentucky will have 25 turnovers in that game. But I mean, this Kentucky team has a chance to lose to. Gosh, I wish we could go back and listen to After they beat Michigan State, I told you this on the air. I listened to the Kentucky sports radio station, and they were talking about going undefeated. And this was the best defensive team that Calipari – this is a quote, this is not only the best defensive team that Calipari has ever had, it might be the best defensive team in the history of college basketball. That's a quote off of their stupid station. You believe that stuff?
Yeah, of course I do. Those
Hey, it's just unbelievable. And now you listen to their show, all they talk about is football. They've written this team off. They want Chris Holtman to come in they're ready to get rid of Calipari. They want to bring in Chris Holtman. They want to be done with the funny part is Kentucky fans don't love the one and done recruiting situation as much as they want to act like they do.
Well,
they're ready for it.
They have to act like whatever they're doing they like.
Right, of course.
But
they can't.
Nobody
really
does because it doesn't work. It's proven that it simply doesn't work. And if Kentucky's not careful, because I don't think Duke will have this problem, but when this rule change happens by the NBA, which probably won't be for another 2 years, if you get caught that first season with guys that are leaving, you're screwed the next year because that next group of guys that would have been one and dones ain't going to be there. They're going to be in the NBA. So if you don't have some older guys in the pipeline there, they're going to get caught with their pants down.
When is that, Jake? When is that rule? Is it 2022?
I don't know that it's even set for sure yet, but if it is, I believe it is 2022. And it's an NBA rule. It is not an NCAA thing. This is with the NBA allowing players to come in without being 1 year removed from high school. That's the rule. You have to be 1 year removed from high school.
Mark it down. You want to know what happens? You want to know what happens at the same time that'll coincide with that?
Calipari retires.
Calipari will leave.
Jake, who said that? Months and months and months ago. I think I even posted that. I said that a long time ago because he will actually have to coach. And as most people know, he ain't a good coach. And he just out-talents people. So when it comes down to having to coach, he's going to be screwed. So he's going to move on. That's a perfect time for him to move on. It's been a great run in Kentucky, blah, blah, blah. I've said it all along. The 10 years is long enough. I've been here for 12, yada, yada, yada. I got to go.
I don't agree with one part. I shouldn't say I don't agree. One part of your statement's a little aggressive in that saying he can't coach.
Got to be.
He's
not a great coach. He's not
a great coach. I don't disagree with that. But, I mean, he just is – I think his niche is working with insanely young kids that are super talented.
Yeah, how hard is that?
He does a good job. It's more difficult than you think.
The managing part is hard because he's learned how to manage all those egos and make those egos work. That's what he has been very good at.
Yeah, and the one of the things I would say he's not that good at is trying to figure out a way. Keon Brooks would be a great interview right now to find out if you could get – now you would never get his true feelings, I don't believe. But, I mean, if you could really find out, what he feels about his decision right now. I mean, the kid went to Kentucky as a top 5 overall recruit in the country, and he hasn't started a single game.
Yeah, but that's because of what he's got in front of him. But he plays a lot. I guarantee you he is quite happy with his decision because the alternative is to be on an Indiana team that we don't know that they're going to make the playoffs. I don't know that they make the NCAA tournament yet.
You think Keon Brooks bases his season on whether
the success that his team is having and what I think he feels he's probably being developed better now than he would have he come to Indiana because every day he's practicing against multiple guys that will be playing in the NBA next year. It's developing him.
Which guys off of that Kentucky team are going to be playing in the NBA?
I don't know. I have to pull the roster up.
None.
You don't. Okay. You don't think
Maxey maybe?
You don't think that team is more talented from a personnel standpoint than Indiana's team?
I think they're more athletic, more talented. No, not even close. They don't have a player that could even touch Trace Jackson Davis. Not even close. Their point guard is really good. Maxey is really good. Beyond that,
he's insane. He's
beyond that. They're not that good. They're really not.
And the record's showing that.
I agree totally. That's why I'm saying like this particular team. I have heard Jimmy Dykes and another announcer, I can't remember who it was, on ESPN twice on the air make the statement and say this is by far the least talented Kentucky freshman class that they've ever had under Calipari. And they always
that includes Keon Brooks is included in that.
I understand that, but they go out on a limb and even say it's not even close. Like this one, they're almost basically saying they're terrible.
With that. Well, I'm not saying they're terrible, but I agree with that it's not, because you look back who some of the guys they've had.
But it's starting to crumble and fall apart, because now you've got some sophomores that are still there. I mean, that's the reason why Keon Brooks is not playing, because they've got some sophomores that are playing now. I mean, the point guard's a sophomore. That big Richards guy or whatever, he's a sophomore. I mean, those guys that weren't expected to be there when these guys were being recruited.
Have you noticed that the slight decline in Kentucky recruiting coincided with multiple FBI investigations last year into college basketball? Is that just a coincidence?
It is not a coincidence. Definitely not. But
it's just funny how the recruiting falls off just when that happens.
It's just it's a situation. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with you that Keon Brooks would give you a glowing report on what he thinks his career has happened so far. If you'd have told him he wasn't going to start any of the first 10 games they played, he would not have signed with Kentucky.
I disagree, because I guarantee you Calipari probably told him that.
No way. Oh, my God.
I bet you. Nope.
Come on.
I'm telling you, that's one of the things that I don't like the guy, trust me, but I think that's part of his pitch, saying, hey, you'll have to earn your way into a starting spot. I promise you, I guarantee he did not promise him a starting spot.
You've never been on a recruiting visit, especially with John Calipari.
Doesn't matter. I'm just telling you, I do not think in any way, shape, or form he told him he would be starting. We got to take a break, luckily. You hold that thought. Just hold that thought. Just hold it in your hand.
You're letting this swell up inside of me for a whole 3 minutes. This is going to be good when we come back.
Oh, boy. Prepare yourself, folks. We got a big swell up coming from Todd Leary. You're listening to Coyle and Leary here on Indiana Sports Beat. Appreciate you joining us. We're back with more to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle and Leary with you here on this post-Christmas celebration.
Hey, you know what? I just thought of something that would be good to have. That'd be good to have on the show because it gave me a completely different perspective of John Calipari. What IU player can you name that you think would have a really good opinion of John Calipari?
Current IU player?
Nope. Played at IU. I actually played with him at IU, and he loves John Calipari. Got any guesses?
Alan Henderson.
Brian Evans. Brian Evans played for him for the New Jersey Nets. And he cannot talk better about Calipari. All the guys who have ever played for Calipari absolutely love him. I mean,
he's a player's coach. There's no doubt about
he's
that.
At Kentucky. Here's my issues. He was at UMass, and then he left, and they got in trouble. And he went. So he escaped all the trouble.
Same thing in Memphis.
And then he went to Memphis. Exact same scenario.
Another banner had to be taken down.
And then now he's at Kentucky, which is my least favorite college basketball school in the world. So I just innately can't stand the guy at all. But I will tell you this. We'll get Brian Evans on the show sometime, and we'll let Brian give his opinion because Brian won't sugarcoat it just because he's an IU guy. He'll tell you exactly what he thinks about Calipari, and he loves him. Every player, another guy from Indianapolis, Tony Barbie, played at North Central.
Yeah, I remember that name. Wow.
He played for Cal at UMass, and then now he's in the city. He was also the head coach at Auburn for a year, like 10 or 7 or 8 years, and now he's an assistant coach for Cal at Kentucky. And you hear those guys talking about him, oh my gosh. I mean, they talk as well or better about him than we do about Bob Knight. They love it.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
Yeah, I know. It's that shocking.
Well,
but Brian Evans,
he's a player's coach. He's a player's coach,
and
I think that in the NBA especially, he didn't last very long, but he was a player's coach. He kind of let them do. I think he took that to Kentucky, and he's a player's coach there because that's the kind of player he's used to coaching there, the NBA type guys.
Okay, hang on. So here we go. I looked up some stats. You're going to tell me if Keon Brooks knew that he was going to play 17.5 minutes a game in his first 11 games at Kentucky, he would still have signed with Kentucky. You're telling me yes.
I think so. I don't think it's about that. I think it's about he's concerned with his only goal is to get to the NBA. And
you think playing 17 and a half minutes a game is going to get him to the NBA?
At Kentucky, yes.
In how many years? Many years? You think he's leaving after this year?
Less than it would at Indiana. There is not a path to the NBA under Archie Miller. I don't mean that in a negative.
Oh, my gosh. That doesn't make any sense. So okay. Trace Jackson Davis is not going to the NBA?
Trace Jackson is. Trace is special, yeah.
Hang on. He's a place for Archie Miller.
Archie's not having to develop Trace Jackson Davis. Trace Jackson Davis is a talent. You talked about Keon Brooks. Keon Brooks is not Trace Jackson Davis. He does not have that kind of talent.
Hang on just a second. I'm going to allow you to retract your statement. Otherwise, this is getting ready to become an extremely aggressive show right now because there is no way you can possibly say they are not developing Trace Jackson Davis. That's crazy. I'm going to let you retract your statement, and I won't go nutso on you.
Trace Jackson Davis' talent is already there. You just said, and we both agree, Keon Brooks is
Keon
not.
Brooks.
Hold on.
His talent is there.
Okay, hold on. Keon Brooks does not have the talent, even though he was higher rated, does not have the talent that Trace Jackson Davis does. I'm not really sure the type of player that Keon Brooks is. I don't really know. He doesn't really have a great game. He's not a great shooter. He's not a great finisher like, say, Romeo was. So
But he's a 5-star. He's a 5-star rated in the top 25.
I didn't rate him as a 5-star.
Exactly. I just wanted you to prove that all those guys are bigger idiots, which I know you agree with me in that anyway. But your statement of
I think that Trace Jackson Davis is just
you said
developing
out
his
of your
talent,
mouth that Archie Miller does not develop NBA talent, and
well, as a general rule, over a decade as a coach, that has been the case. The only player that has ever played for for Archie Miller in a decade as a coach that is in the NBA is Romeo Langford, and he came to Indiana as a number 5 pick already. So that's not developing. So he did not develop Romeo Langford. And that is the only player in a decade as a coach that is in the NBA under Archie Miller.
Juwan Morgan.
Right, but I give Tom Crean more credit for Juwan Morgan.
My point is exactly what you just said. You're not giving Archie the credit for that. And
do you think Archie developed Juwan Morgan? Really?
I think Juwan Morgan's game his senior year was much better than it was in his first 3 years. Yes, for sure I do.
And that was because of Archie, not because it was his senior year after playing 4 years of college basketball?
I think both of those things contributed to it. I don't know. I don't understand why, and I'm not even trying to pick. I don't understand why you don't think.
I look at the facts, and the facts are as a decade as a head coach.
Okay, but most of those are at Dayton, and you just can't recruit the guys at Dayton that you can recruit.
Dayton currently has a lottery pick. Since he left, they now have a lottery pick. Since he left,
what year is that kid?
He's a sophomore or freshman, I think.
No.
Yes, Obi Toppin?
What is he, Jake?
Anyway, Dayton is actually in the top 10 right now. 3 years removed. I'm just pointing out some things that you cannot argue. You cannot like it, but you can't argue the fact that it's true. 3 years removed, Dayton is now a top 10 team.
But that's what you just said is not true. You're not stating facts because you said one player is in the NBA that Archie Miller has coached, and that's not true because Juwan Morgan is in the NBA and he coached him. I mean, giving.
Well, the reason I forgot about Juwan Morgan is because he did not get drafted.
So then let me go ahead. Okay, so he was there for 3 years ago when Archie Miller would have recruited him.
Nope. Archie's been here for 3 years.
Hang on a second. If what you're saying is true, so if Juwan Morgan does not get credited to Archie Miller, then none of the kids that are one and dones that go to Kentucky.
Dude, if you want to give him the credit for it, go ahead. I don't care. It's not that important. It's not that important to me because
you can't say I state facts and then you sit there and say,
okay, let me withdraw the statement about Juwan Morgan because I forgot about Juwan Morgan because he went through a different path than normal. He signed a 2-way deal late after the deal. So I forgot about Juwan Morgan, but I still give him half the credit. But he only gets half the credit because Tom Crean found the guy that no one else would have found. Archie would not have recruited Juwan Morgan. No way. He would, and he did not. And Tom Crean developed him for most of that time, just like he did with OG Anunoby, just like he did with Victor Oladipo, and those type of guys who were 3-star players and are now playing in the NBA. So those are just irrefutable facts. Now, yes, he's in the NBA, and he played for 2 years under Archie, and you give him half the credit, that's fine. He gets half the credit on Juwan Morgan. I'm fine with that. I don't care. But it's not – I think the point is made that he does not produce NBA players as a general rule.
Okay. I mean, the fact that he's got Trace Jackson Davis that comes in and the fact that – he is going to be developed under Archie Miller. That's the part of it where I think that you were just trying to be argumentative with me about it. Because
no, not at all.
That's
my opinion on that.
Trace Jackson Davis was a pretty good college or high school player. He's
really
turned
good.
Into probably top 5 top 3 freshmen in the country and probably top 15 players in the country overall.
He could probably go in the draft if he wanted to this year.
I'm sure he could.
If
May
he
not be in the
wanted
top
to.
15, but he would be drafted in the first round.
Yeah, and I don't see that happening.
I don't want him to, but he could.
I think that he definitely could. I think he could because of his size, but he still needs to develop his game. He's probably going to have to develop a shot because of his size now in the NBA. Those guys can shoot. I don't know that for a fact because
we got to go to break. I'll argue with him when we come back.
He's pretty handy around the well, we're not there quite yet.
We're not? I thought we were.
But yeah, anyway. But I think he probably is going to need to develop a shot for the NBA. But
the problem with him right now is not a problem, but from an NBA perspective, he has that old Karl Malone style game, and they don't have that anymore. I mean, there's not too many guys that have that. But here's what you don't get. They don't care about his shot. They'll develop his shot. You see that every year.
Same way with Romeo Langford. That's the first thing they started doing was working on his shot.
And he's got something else that they just can't, that you can't just go teach somebody. And when he goes and gets the ball, he's stronger than every player on the floor. And
absolutely,
his game will translate to the NBA better than all of the players that we've talked about. Any player that's at Kentucky right now, I will assure you take the point guard out because who knows, point guards get to have the ball in their hand. Trace Jackson Davis will have a better NBA career than anyone that's at Kentucky right now.
I don't disagree with that. I just his work ethic is crazy. I think that he works extraordinarily hard. He's extraordinarily talented.
And why wouldn't you give that credit to Archie Miller? Why wouldn't you give that credit?
Because I give it to Trace Jackson Davis, not Archie Miller. Trace Jackson Davis is the one with the talent. It's Trace Jackson Davis who has that talent. And it's him that is working his ass off to get better. I think he deserves the credit.
The credit goes
don't forget that he has a father who played in the NBA. I'm sure that helps a little bit as well.
So all the credit goes to Victor Oladipo and not his coaches. And all the credit goes to OG Anunoby and not his coaches. And all that other stuff.
Victor's another one that worked himself into that. He really did. He willed himself into becoming a better shooter.
I agree with you. And I think the coaching staff had an impact. You're not.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
Into near enough consideration.
Of course they have an impact, no doubt. I looking at the record of a decade. I'm just saying, if you look at the record of a decade long, that's what the numbers say. But we do have to take a break.
I look at the record of 3 years, and he's got 2 players in the NBA. That's the way I look at it.
Okay. Well, we got to take a break. So stay tuned. Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this unbelievably beautiful post-Christmas day.
Warm.
Crazy. It's crazy.
It's nuts. It's awesome.
This may set a record month for golfers in the state of Indiana.
You know what I did for the first time in history on Christmas Day? In the state of Indiana also, but anywhere in the world?
Played golf.
Hit a golf ball. Show did.
You hit a golf ball?
I hit golf balls.
Oh, okay. Did you just hit or did you play?
I just hit. Just hit.
Is the game any better?
Nope. This body is it does not bounce back very well.
Tim texted into the show. Who gets a better win over Arkansas, Indiana or Kentucky? Well,
who gets a better win over Arkansas? I don't get it.
I'm not sure.
Because they both play each other. You mean in conference?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I don't. That's a kind of a loaded question.
Because you can't really answer that because
you can't compare wins. Like those are just
game by game. They're so different. Each situation is different. It's hard.
The perfect example of that. Not to switch sports on you, but a perfect example would be the Indiana and Michigan State. Like if they had played Michigan State at a different time in the year, later in the year,
absolutely.
They'd have smoked Michigan State. So it's just different in how. I don't know that you can compare how two teams play against them because. I think in all reality, I think Kentucky probably matches up better with them, but I think Arkansas matches up better with Kentucky than they do with Indiana. So
that's going to be a weird. Yeah, I keep thinking their tallest player, their starter is 6'6".
Right.
That's a weird Division I lineup. I mean, how many Power 5 teams are in that situation? I mean, I know they lost a guy to the NBA last year, but gee whiz, you got to be prepared for that.
And it's also not like they're all 6'6" because they got two guards that are 6 foot that start also. So I mean, they've got I think 1 6'5" guy, 2 6'6" guys, and 2 6 foot guys. I mean, they're a short lineup for Lawrence North. And I'm sort of joking, but I'm not really joking. I mean,
how Indiana obviously has run a two-guard offense most of this season. Obviously, with the three bigs down there, Justin Smith and Trace Jackson Davis and Joey Brunk has been starting. How in the world does Arkansas combat? I mean, what's going to stop Indiana from just throwing it in? But see, even with that, how are you going to stop Trace Jackson Davis at 6'9"?
Don't let him catch it. Don't let him catch it. I mean, so what would you do right now?
That's a lot of hard work there.
If I'm scheming to play against Indiana right now, I would play some type of – it would be a zone, but it would look like a man – actually, it would be a man-to-man, but it would look like a zone to where almost you would have a foot – you'd have a foot inside the lane almost all the time. And the only players that you would come out on would be Devontae Green, and I would make Armand Franklin show me again that he can make 4 threes in another game. But Rob Finney and Devontae Green would be the only guys I stepped outside the lane on. I'd make every other guy beat me from the outside. And I can assure you, I could take 5 guys out of a high school team right now, and we could put a zone together that could make sure Trace Jackson Davis didn't get the ball. So it can happen. It's not that difficult to do. It's just you give up. I mean, you have to give up some wide open outside shots. And that most teams they're not comfortable doing that.
And this is a game where Arkansas, they want to see Justin Smith and Demezy Anderson or Jerome Hunter, rather, outside shooting shots. They want to see that.
Well, and truly, if they take all of the game films that Indiana's played throughout the whole season and they eliminate the 17 minutes that Armand Franklin played in the Notre Dame game, they're going to let Armand stand out there and shoot also. I mean, and I wouldn't doubt that they might not still do that. I mean, just because he made that, they're looking at his overall season. Yes, they're going to see that he made the big shot at the end of the game. He was huge in the Notre Dame game. But overall percentage-wise, I mean, what's that take him up to? He's still under a 30% three-point shooter for the season. So they're not going to look at that. If you and I were looking their stats up right now, we're not looking at an individual game that a guy from Arkansas had. We're looking at his overall stats, and we see he shoots 26% from the three-point line. We're going to say, yeah, let him shoot. I'll let him stand out there and shoot all day long. He'll shoot him right out of the game. And, yes, you're right. They want Justin Smith to stand out there and shoot. Justin Smith shoots over 30%, and they're still going to let him stand out there and shoot because that's when Indiana is at its worst.
And this is a game of not that all should be, but Justin Smith should just be in there just destroying people because he can, because he just physically can. He should just be abusing them.
Yeah, and you know his game. For a guy that I've picked on so much like all year long, I couldn't respect his game anymore. His ability to do it, like he just a lot of times gets away from what his strengths are, and I don't understand.
Is that the desire to try to develop? He's trying to develop his game for next level. I know it's hard to go into someone's mind, but
there's a part of it that that I think he wants to prove that he's a shooter and he can make those shots. I think here's one of the hard parts, and there was a lot of guys that fall into this category that in practice those shots go in, and they make a lot of those shots, and for whatever reason it might be in games they don't go in, and that didn't happen to me. I don't understand how that's a thing, but it is a thing, and I played with a lot of guys who were that way. A lot of guys who could stand there in practice and shoot 85% from the free throw line, and they get in a game and they shoot 52%. I mean, Eric Montross was a teammate of mine in high school, and in practice shooting free throws, I mean, the guy could make 70% of his free throws, and he shot like 29% for his career. I'm not kidding. Like, I'm not making up a funny stat. It's ridiculous. It's insanity. It's like it's one of the worst it's ever played.
And we talked about this the other day. A 7-footer, it's got to be tougher to shoot free throws just because of the angle. I know you said that, but if we look at the course of those guys over the years, they really seem to struggle. But not all of them. I mean, I don't know what Cody Zeller, but he's someone who seems to have a better touch.
Kevin Durant. I mean, Kevin Durant's 7 feet tall. I mean, he's a 90% free throw shooter.
Ryan says it was the warmest Christmas day in 37 years in Michigan.
Huh. Attaboy. Did Ryan get to get out and hit any golf balls? Or I guess he couldn't ice fish up there. It's too warm.
Actually, I saw my old friend John Bowl from Wave TV in Louisville. I used to work with John at CBS in Louisville. But he had a picture. He's from Wisconsin. He's always in Wisconsin, always showing stuff. He was ice fishing, and he says I forget what his words were, but basically pretty eerie ice fishing on 2 inches of ice next to fresh water. It was like not very far away where the water was not frozen. I'm like, man, you're nuts.
That didn't even make any sense.
No, that's crazy. I'm like, holy cow. And every time I see somebody ice fishing, all I can think of is Grumpy Road Men. One of the funniest movies I think I've ever seen in my life.
Well, the only time I've ever seen it is when we used to travel to Wisconsin for IU. The hotel we stayed in was a weird hotel where that's irrelevant. It's just a weird hotel where you got on the elevator and you went down to your rooms. It was weird, But out your window, you could look out the window onto the lake out there, and there would just be tent after tent after tent. I mean, thousands of tents across this big giant lake of people out there ice fishing all the time.
I'm surprised you guys didn't try it.
We weren't allowed to leave the hotel, Jack. And you think I'm kidding?
I do not think you're kidding.
Plus, it's 5 degrees outside. I didn't want to leave the hotel, but it was just we were not allowed to be about town. Let's put it that way.
Man about town.
Mm-hmm. We were not that. We were man about hotel room.
Tim thinks Justin Smith needs Trace Jackson Davis's dad to teach him a few things, like crash the boards and finish at the rim with vengeance. I do. That's the one thing about Justin Smith that I don't understand is his frequency. Like he'll have a nice dunk here and there, but that's not.
That's an understatement. That's an understatement, by the way.
It's more the exception rather than the rule, and I just don't get that with his freaking body and talent and athletic ability. I would just be breaking rims if I could do that.
Yeah, I mean he's had a couple of dunks that are off the charts. I mean they're incredible. And they're on people, and I don't mean the alley-oop ones. I mean a couple of the ones he's driven baseline or driven from the wing and dunked on people when you weren't really sure what he was going to do with it. And when he does it, it's so fast. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being an IU homer. He's one of the top 3 most athletic people in all of college basketball, and I can't name the other 2. I'm just telling you, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. There's somebody out there we don't know about.
How far back do you have to go on Indiana thinking to think of someone that's similar to him?
I'd say Victor Oladipo was kind of like that, only the difference is about 4 inches in height. I mean, Victor's 6'3", and he's 6'7", so it gives him a gigantic advantage. I mean, Victor is ridiculously athletic, but it's different when it's a guard because you got so much farther to go. But, I mean, I don't know. Troy Williams is easily the biggest example. I mean, Troy Williams is freak athletic. But yeah. Justin Smith is thicker and a little more,
he's still more athletic.
Justin Smith. Oh no, I agree.
Yeah,
I can't tell you. And I mean, you take a guy, who was considered athletic back on my teams, Greg Graham. I mean, Greg Graham and guys like that. I mean, it's not even remotely close. Justin Smith is in a completely different league. Greg Graham still weighs 155 pounds.
Justin Smith has a body that is fit for every freaking sport that
there is. It is for sure.
I mean, he could play football. I could see him as being a badass tight end. I don't know about baseball being that size. You don't see guys, but if he was a baseball player, if he could pitch,
he could. Whew. Yeah, he couldn't. Yeah, that's
baseball's not meant for it. But,
right. Any physical athletic sport like that, where athleticism is a big factor,
he's just a freak, man.
It's insane.
Yeah, it would sure be nice to see him get that, because if he could bring that together, he could be a weapon unlike many in college basketball if he could harness that.
Yeah, I mean, I say this every, when we talk about it pretty often. I know probably people are probably tired of hearing it, but if he made his goal every game to get 15 rebounds or lead the nation in rebounding, he will make $10 million a year in the NBA. That's just a guaranteed fact. If he doesn't become an insane rebounder, they'll develop his shot. He doesn't need to show right now that he can. He needs to show that he's got decent form. That's it. Because they've got shooting coaches that get paid lots of money, and they will teach him how to shoot.
And offensive rebounding is something that he could make this Indiana team way better simply by focusing on that.
And it's not just offensive rebounding. Yes, that's huge and a big deal. But I mean,
right, just rebounding in general.
If when a shot goes up, everybody knows that Trace Jackson Davis or Justin Smith's getting that rebound, or Joey Brunk. I mean, heck, how can I leave him out after 14 rebound game? And if one of those 3 is getting the rebound, that is such a big deal. Every possession is so important, and limiting offensive rebounds for the other team. A team like Kentucky, for example, a team like Michigan State is the biggest example in the Big Ten. They live off of offensive rebounding, and that's because every single person on their team, except for the point guard, crashes the boards every time down the floor.
If Justin Smith had Joey Brunk's desire to get every rebound like we saw Saturday, He would be like Dennis
If
Rodman.
he had your desire to get everybody's rebound, to get every rebound, I mean, seriously, it's so hard.
Dennis Rodman made a living, a Hall of Fame living, win NBA titles because of what he did.
Somebody got to him in the NBA. Where'd he go to college? Isn't it?
He went to some small JUCO in Oklahoma.
Right.
And I don't know that if he played at a 4-year college, I don't remember.
Somebody got a hold of him in the NBA and got him to understand that, somebody got him to understand that his value in playing was how many rebounds could he get.
That may have been Chuck Daly.
It was a coach or scout or somebody along the way got him to understand that. And if you take a person with his athleticism and willingness, like he had a motor that was different. I mean, look at Dennis Rodman. We would see this dude, and I'm not saying Justin Smith wouldn't dive on the floor, but I'm saying if Dennis Rodman had to go head first into the stands to get a ball, he would. And he was reckless abandon with his body, and he would fly
he would
all
run over
court.
people.
But there's a part of rebounding is not just you're more athletic and can jump higher than everybody else. Part of it is your willingness to go get it. And if your motor, it's tiring. It's not like these guys are, because they're 19 years old. They've got an endless motor and they can go 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's not. You got to train yourself to be that way.
You got to be thinking ahead every time.
If you're sitting there, here's the thing. If you're sitting there watching, old men our age, go out to a pickup game somewhere. And if your mindset when you're standing on the floor and your team has the ball on offense is to watch where the ball's going and start positioning yourself for an offensive rebound, you approach offense totally different than you do if your mindset's out there and you're trying to score. You're trying to make a shot. And that's what all old men our age do when we go out and play. Hopefully people like Jake work on getting me the ball, guys like me the ball, guys who scores the ball. But if there's a guy on your floor, it's so funny to watch how this happens. But if there's a guy that's on the floor who's, maybe a little bit more athletic or taller than some of the other guys, but he loves to rebound.
That's value.
He's always the first pick. He's always the first guy that everybody picks because that's the guy outside of the legit talent like me. I mean, Jake would take me first. But then beyond that, you're going to take the guy who wants to go get the most rebounds. And you don't have to, that is taking a small.
Which is me.
It is you. You can rebound. If your mindset was to rebound, you could rebound.
I remember playing in leagues where I knew that was my only value. Right. Because I knew that there were offensive guys on this team that were better shooters. And I knew that they were going to get the ball. They were going to keep the ball. So I'm like, all right, I've got to bring value. And what can I do? Defense and rebounding.
I had a buddy in Indianapolis. His name's Phil Sack, and he has glasses. You take his glasses off, he can't see past the end of his nose. And he would play in these games and pickup games over at Lifetime Fitness. And everyone, immediately everyone would pick him because he worked his butt off at rebounding. And he couldn't see the basket because he didn't wear contacts. And he couldn't see the basket. He would never shoot. He would never shoot.
You had to just hear from people's voices. Oh, yeah, I recognize him. So
everybody would pick him right away because they knew, one, nobody wanted to block him out because he was physical and fast and strong and nobody wanted to be around him. And he would just go get the rebounds and then he would have to find somebody to throw it to. So we would walk in together. I would always make sure he was on my squad every time.
Ryan's up in Michigan said, I could have played golf, but I did not. Not going ice fishing ever. I'm not an outdoors person, just like to play ball.
If golf is considered an outdoors person, I am an outdoors person. But if it's fishing or hunting or anything else, I'm an indoorsman.
Jennifer Land, how are you? She says, Sunday cannot get here fast enough. She's missing some IU basketball. I hear you, sister. We are too. Looking forward to that. We've got it, and we'll know tomorrow. We're going to figure out today where we're going to be so we can announce this tomorrow. Or after the game with Todd Leary, of course, coming to you after the Arkansas game as the Razorbacks visit Indiana. We'll be with you again on Sunday, as always, after each game. We just don't know where we're going to be coming from yet because Yogi's is closed for a Christmas party that day. They're just not open. So unfortunately, you can't come to Yogi's and join us, but we'll we'll let you know tomorrow exactly where we're going to be. I've had several people actually texting in and asking. So
it's just going to be a weird time also.
But
it's Sunday night at 8 p.m. I mean, it's just not only
we had one of our best audiences at 11 o'clock one night on a weeknight.
I know, but it's Sunday night. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just a little.
I think Saturday at 2:30 in the afternoon is even worse. Last week, I did not like that time.
I didn't either.
Anyway, but Jennifer, thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you for listening, of course, as well. Tim's, yeah, we do have to hit a break. Jake's getting on us, cracking the whip again. We got to get another break in. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. We're coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett. Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Now you're talking.
Whoa, yeah. Whoop, whoop. Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Coyle and Leary with you here on this post-Christmas celebration.
There's a positive and a negative, Jake, when you come back with kind of catchy music. It's got a good beat to it. Because, yes, we like to listen to it, but unfortunately you and I have to watch Jim dance to it. And I don't know that it's worth it.
The singing, nothing's better than the singing, though.
Yes, there's a lot better than the singing.
My daughter Kylie particularly loves my singing.
Your daughter is way smarter than I thought she was. She takes after her mom apparently because she's right on the money there. Your singing's terrible.
I don't think I'd call it terrible. I think I'd call it unique.
It is unique.
Welcome back. Hope you're having a great Christmas season.
What do people do the day after? I mean, with that not being that many football games, what's everybody do? Go shopping? Is it like another?
They go to work.
Return stuff.
Most people go to work.
Bull crap. No, they don't.
Dude, you got Thursday and Friday. I mean, unless you got some vacation days that you can, which it's a great time to take some vacation days, especially if you can take a couple here and then a couple more next week. Man, you got a 2-week vacation. Woo. Big. Speaking of vacations, it's not so much because we're going to be working so hard, but we'll be in Jacksonville for the Gator Bowl. Indiana taking on Tennessee next 1 week from today. It's a night game. I think it's at 7 o'clock. Only game that is, Tim says, yes, he's working. Only game on the tube. But looking forward to being down there. We're going to get our watch party situation taken care of. We need to get that done today too, so we can announce this stuff to the peeps, let them know, and we need to decide when we're going to be down there. We got a lot of stuff to get to.
Yeah. Our jobs don't end at the end of this 2 hours.
No, gosh. No,
yours usually does. Just mine doesn't.
Right. Yeah. I just lay around. I don't do much.
I know.
I just wait till the next day at the same time. Just plug and play, baby. Plug and play.
Start the station up and just listen to the butter come out of my mouth.
Plug and play. I got my JBL clip tube paired to my phone now that my daughter gave me for Christmas.
Nice.
Happy about that. Yeah, Tim's at work. So, a lot of people are working.
I get a lot of people working.
That just seems
weird.
Yes, it does. That's why I would. If I didn't have something that I do that I love so much as this, and I actually had to go to work, that would just suck.
Yeah.
The day after Christmas.
That's why. I didn't understand it. So I actually I was at a gas station yesterday.
And you asked him what it was like to be
working? I thanked the people working. I was just like, it's great that you guys, and they were like, it's amazing how bad people's attitudes have been today. People were just mean and rude. And I was there in Bloomington. And I was like, that just seems crazy. People would think that you would be happy you were open, but they were mad they weren't open earlier. I was just like, wow, that's pretty crazy.
Tim says, wants to go to the game, but doesn't want to pay $400 for airfare. Got any ideas? Absolutely.
11-hour drive.
Stick that thing in drive and let it roll, baby.
How do you think we're getting there?
Let it roll, baby, roll.
Oh, geez, come on. We don't want to lose listeners.
No. Yeah, that is a possibility on that. I'll give you that one. But yeah, just drive down, man. There's a lot of people that are driving down. It's an easy drive.
It's an
easy drive. You get some peeps together. You get a caravan going.
Hang on. First of all, if he found a $400 flight, I want to know what it is because I'm taking it.
Yeah,
that's not a bad deal.
I don't know that there are any more $400 flights left.
That's not a bad deal. But, I mean, I like driving because, Jim, more than anybody knows.
You are a driving
weird
fool,
I
man.
am. I like to drive, and I like to have my car with me at all times. So,
I don't mind driving, especially if I'm with somebody else because you're having conversation a lot, and that makes the time go faster.
Yeah, you and I are different with that because I would rather drive. I should have been a truck driver because I would rather be by myself all the time.
Yeah,
I have never once argued with myself in the car. Never once.
That's because you're always right.
Not a single time. Well, I'm always right when there's somebody else in the car too, but for some reason, they just don't see it that way.
Oh, man.
But
appreciate everybody joining us. Don't forget to hit us up on the text line, 812-269-6367. The women are back at it this weekend, too. Tim says, I would drive, but the wife will not. Leave her ass at home.
Oh, no, you don't want to say that. No.
Hey, if she don't want to go, man.
Give her the option. You
he
give
does
her the
have the option
of going, and if she chooses not to go,
he says his wife will not.
Honk the horn and wave and tell her bye-bye.
Say, I'm headed. Are you going or not?
Todd and Jim need me. We need a
I'll
spotter
be back
for the
in
game.
4 days.
We need a spotter for the game. Todd and Jim need me.
There you go. Exactly. Absolutely. The women are back at it here soon. When's
Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, who I'm trying. Oh, Michigan State. Michigan State.
It's only a decent game. Only a decent game.
Well, and Michigan State was ranked last week. They got who? I forget who they got.
I forget who they lost to, but they lost to somebody.
But they're one of those teams that'll be in and out of the rankings probably all year. But regardless, it's going to be obviously a challenge for Indiana because they've got a big loss that they're bouncing back from to UCLA. Not because of anything other than they should have won that game easily because the only thing worse about Indiana's day was it's UCLA. They were just as bad shooting wise and all of that, but they got up to a lead early on in that first quarter. The Indiana scored 4 points and they just got down and they could never recover. They made some runs and got closer, but they just could not recover from that initial hole they dug. And it was mainly because they couldn't shoot that day, and they dang sure couldn't shoot free throws, which also hurt them tremendously.
Yeah, and it's just they've not really had a hiccup. I mean, their other losses to Baylor, who's number 2 in the country, right? Number 5 in the country right now. So that's not a crazy loss. And this is their first real hiccup. And honestly, like it'll give them a good opportunity for a great bounce back game, and they need it against Michigan State, even though they're not ranked anymore. They're still the same team. I mean, they're good. And so this is a good opportunity for them to come back out and gain their own confidence back. It's easy to, confidence is hard to get, but it's pretty easy to lose. And they need to come back out and get things going. And when they do, if they're able to come back and get this, get off to a great start in the Big Ten like this with a Michigan State win early, it'd really set them up for a great run throughout the Big Ten.
Man, Ohio State and Clemson are both playing the we don't get respect game. We're not getting respected. Clemson's been saying it all year. Because everybody talks about it because they don't play anybody. Well, there's a good reason people talk about you when you don't play anybody and you almost lose to a half-jack team like North Carolina.
Right.
You're lucky to win that. But then you got Ohio State talking about, we're not getting respected. Come on, man. Everybody's been talking about them being one of the best, if not the best team, back and forth with LSU all year long. So I don't know that Ohio State can play that card.
Yeah, I mean, this if there was ever a year when you were going to look at a situation and just have one game and not have the playoff, I mean, I think everyone that's not a Clemson fan would tell you the best 2 teams in the country are Ohio State and LSU. That's only because Clemson hasn't played anybody and been able to go out and prove that they should be in that same conversation.
Does that make them more dangerous?
You know what? It makes it so that you're not, we're not quite sure. But the thing that makes them more dangerous, they definitely have a chip on their shoulder. Like and their coach, I think Dabo Swinney is one of the absolute best motivators in all coaching, let alone just college football. Man, I love listening to him talk, and I don't say that about very many people. But he does.
Certainly not me.
He just gets, I mean, he would not be, I understand why he gets the recruits. I understand why they're in the position that they're in, because he looks like a guy you would really want to play for. And he's got them believing that they are being disrespected. Now, they got the number 1 overall pick at quarterback, and they got a whole bunch of guys that are very, very talented, and they got great offensive and defensive lines. So, yeah, they're dangerous. They very easily could walk through both of these games in the playoffs and smash both teams. I don't think it'll happen, but they've got a chip on their shoulder, and teams play different with a chip on their shoulder.
Tim brought something up that I meant to talk about last night. The Celtics and the Raptors played. You got Romeo, Carson Edwards, and OG on the Raptors. Romeo actually played 20 minutes in that game.
Yep, he's. I think with Marcus Smart being out, he's actually been getting a decent amount of minutes.
2 rebounds, 2 points. Tim says he looked a lot like he did at Indiana, standing around a lot, waiting for a pass.
That's called the NBA. That is not that unusual.
Carson Edwards only played 3 minutes.
Oh, did he play? Well,
he played 3 minutes.
Earlier in the year, he was playing more and actually playing decent in a couple of things I saw, but he's had a couple games he didn't play. I know Gordon Hayward came back yesterday, so that'll change some minutes, but that's it's the NBA. It's hard to tell, and it's their first years. I mean, give them some time.
What'd OG do?
He played 25 minutes. He had 5 points on 2 of 6 shooting. He shot 2 threes, which obviously you can tell they're developing his game, because I don't think he could have launched one, a hook shot style from there in college.
That's not really his game. But
it is not his game, but he shot 2 threes. OG only had 1 rebound. That's a sign of a guy who signed a big contract that's not really worried about his contract right now.
Apparently yesterday also, Tim texted in, did you guys see Anthony Davis fall into Kevin Hart's lap? No, but I'm sure that was pretty funny.
I'm sure we couldn't see Kevin Hart if that happened.
That would look like Santa Claus sitting on a kid's lap.
Yeah, that is yeah, I don't even know what to say about that.
Kevin Hart's like 5'6" or something. He's hilarious.
You want to know why we know you didn't see that? Because you and I didn't tune into 1 second of NBA basketball yesterday.
I literally did not see a dribble.
Nope.
Not a pregame.
Do you think they probably made that schedule out with having New Orleans play when they thought the big fella would be playing this time of year?
Anthony Davis?
No.
Oh, Zion.
Otherwise, there's no way they would have been scheduled for a Christmas Day game.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say you are probably right.
What's that? Oh, Jake, mark it down. Let's get that recorded.
Good thing I said
probably. Take out the probably.
Nope. Make sure you accentuate probably.
Yeah.
A lot coming up. Indiana women, Simon Scott Assembly Hall Saturday, taking on Michigan State. Get out and see them if you can. And then, of course, Sunday, the men's team back at it as well, taking on the Arkansas Razorbacks out of the SEC, and a game that should allow Indiana to go 12-1. They completely outmatched this team from a personnel standpoint, but it's going to be a different game for Indiana. What do they have to do defensively to not let Arkansas take advantage of that smaller lineup?
Keep them out of the lane. If there's only one goal defensively, I don't even care if you scheme for anything else that's going on. If you keep Arkansas out of the lane and don't let them drive and penetrate, you will win easily. You'll win handily in this ball game. That's the whole game for them. They want to drive and penetrate. It'll keep Indiana out of foul trouble. Heck, if Indiana starts out or plays the whole game in a 2-3 zone, it ain't going to bother me a bit.
This is a game that if Indiana can get the ball to Trace Jackson successfully, he can have a 30-point ball game.
He could have that. I'm telling you, the Notre Dame game is the first real game, I think, all year long that there was a major focus. I'm sure it's part of the game plan that they write on the board before the game every day. That is, let's get the ball into the post. But I really think it was the number one point of emphasis for the Notre Dame game on the offensive end for Indiana to get the ball both to Joey Brunk and Trace Jackson Davis inside. And it's not always necessarily to score, but I think it was a major point of emphasis. I think it worked so well that I definitely think that it'll continue with that and keep it going. Other than that, Trace Jackson Davis has been averaging, 14, 15 points a game off of trash, junk, rebound baskets and getting to the free throw line. It's not like Indiana pounds the ball into him every time. Did you watch Washington, the Washington Houston game last night at all?
Is that an NBA game?
It is not. It is former Indiana coach Kelvin Sampson's Houston team versus.
Oh, they had a game last night?
Washington. Yeah, they played. They played the championship of that Diamond Head Classic. That's why I didn't watch any NBA. I watched 4 college games yesterday.
Who won that game?
Houston won it. Houston won that championship, beat Washington.
He's had a good run down there so far.
Yeah, he's got a good bunch of guys that play hard for him, and I wish the best to him. I'm glad he's not Indiana's coach anymore, but I wish the best to him. He's a nice person overall. I'm glad he's not Indiana's coach anymore. But beside the point, if you ever watch the University of Washington play, they've got a kid on their team. I'm spacing his name right now. Isaiah Lawrence, maybe, is his name. And I think he's a freshman. He's about a 6'8" or 9 freshman. And I think it's a rule on their team. They make them throw the ball into him every single time down the court. The kid touches the ball every single time down the court, it seems like. Yeah. And it ain't a bad way to go.
I was just saying, I think it's working.
Good. He's good, and it works well. And I wouldn't mind seeing a little every time down the court TJD.
Here's a kind of a unique question. Tim asked why they can't develop walk-ons to play. Well, my first answer, and I'll let you answer because you're the expert, but is because there's a reason they're a walk-on. They're not as talented, and it's harder because they're working on the guys that are scholarship players. But Cooper Bybee is a guy that he's been sneaking in. I meant to talk about this the other day in that Notre Dame game. They snuck him in for a minute, and that was not a game where you're emptying the bench to get guys in.
Right.
So the sheer fact that he went in there, that shows that Archie's got confidence in putting him in whatever the situation is.
Yeah, and I mean it's just different. The game is so much different nowadays, and I think right now, I'll be honest with you, Indiana is trying so hard to figure out minutes and how to get guys minutes on the court right now that it's just hard. I've not seen him play. But I know I saw him come in a game and stroke a three and knock it down and look pretty darn good doing it. So I know there's some situations in games we could use a guy like that. But I don't know enough about him or any of the other guys on the floor to know, or on the bench to know, why they're not trying to work him in a little bit more. Other than I can tell you right now, I know from a coaching standpoint, substitutions is the hardest thing that you do over there, and trying to get Demezy and Hunter and those guys all minutes right now is hard enough.
That's it.
That's it. I mean, I just don't know. I honestly, I'm a guy who I would love to give a guy a chance from time to time. I don't know enough about it, though. Maybe he can't move his feet at all defensively. I don't know. I mean, maybe he's that big a liability defensively. I shouldn't say that, because now people are going to say that I said he can't play defense. I don't know. I honestly don't know whether he can or can't. But I'm going to say defensively would be the reason why they can't. They feel like they couldn't put those guys on the court.
Well, we've got to cut out a little early today. We got to get going. Todd's got to go to
the doctor's appointment.
The pediatrician. See his. But we appreciate you joining us as always, especially here on this post-Christmas day. We'll be back tomorrow, of course, with plenty more. We've got lots to talk about. The women are playing this weekend. The men are playing this weekend. Of course, bowl season has commenced, so we'll have that to get to as well. But appreciate everybody. Thank you. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas. Thanks to Jake. Thanks to my man, Todd Leary. From the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.